Hi everyone, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm kind of carrying on with my 4 patches on disappearing 4 patches. There was a one layout when I was doing my previous for disappearing 4 patch that I really liked. There was like a window square in a square type of thing there. So I would like to kind of on that basis do something with the 4 patches today. So I called today's 4 patch block a disappearing 4 patch with a view. I'm still working on the lap size quilts, and as in previous tutorial I will roughly trim them to 10.5-inch blocks when they square them up. So I need 30 blocks, 34 patches. So I've done them already. My Secret Santa at work was very nice to give me some fat quarters. And part of that fat quarters set were this lovely red kind of fabric. So I will make that my focal point of that block which I will be putting together from 4 of those units. So what I want to do is take few of my blocks together. Like I said, I stitch my 4 patches, lay them down. They don't have to be, exactly kind of matched up. But what I want to do is make sure that all of those focal point parts, which is this side, I've kind of stuck them in the same way so I know which way they're going, are on my left side, because I do not want to cut into them. I want to leave this 4 patch part untouched. So I will be cutting here and I will be cutting here. What I also need is a little bit of black fabric. I don't know if you noticed that every time you add a black either sash frame or strip somewhere into the blocks, they kind of make those blocks stand up a little bit better. So I will be working with the black strips. I did cut them to 1.5-inch because that's the die I've got, but if you have maybe a jelly rolls, you can just cut them into half so you have a 1.25 width, and that's fine as well. Now I'm using black. You may like to choose different color, that's up to you as well. Whatever color you like that you can use, but I'm going to try with the black and see how it goes. So what I want to do first is to cut on one side. I'm not measuring anything, like where I am from the sides. Wherever you feel like you want in the middle more or less, go cut there. You want to a little bit more to this side, cut there. Again, it's more preference than anything else, and there's no measurement required. So I'll just stand here and just cut. As far as the straight cut, even if we are somewhere on the angle here between top and bottom, it's fine. It just needs to be straight. So after I cut, what we want to do is add to that black strip in between. So I will first stitch black strip to the block, and then I will add the side. But just to make it, user friendly or beginners friendly, or what I call stress-free stitching, don't even try to match those two together. That's going to be quite difficult and time consuming. What you want to do, like in the previous tutorial, just scoot it up about 1/2 inch. I'm saying about because there's no math included. Whether you go a little bit more up or a little bit down, it doesn't matter. Just move it so it's visible that you have not even tried to kind of match those two together. So I took how many? 3 blocks and cut them. Because we are not going to be kind of worrying about what goes with what, because we're stitching back together the same parts. You can cut how many layers in one go as you feel comfortable, and then just chain piece them. That work will be quite quick. Just make sure that when you pick your kind of focal point square, just put it on one side to make sure, on all of the stack, to make sure you don't cut into those and you cut through the rest of the blocks. Okay, so I will now sew, like I said, black strip to all of those pieces and add the sides, and then I will show you the next step. I'm going to be sewing with the bright thread, and the key thing when you're sewing dark fabric with the bright thread, like me, I've got a cream there, is to narrow down the stitch length. That way it will not show when you start ironing your blocks. have noticed that as I was cutting off the edges of that strip when I was sewing, I was putting them together again to reuse it. So I think what I will do, so to not kind of stop myself every time I do that, I will just sew together all of those strips. And you have scraps you would like to reuse that way, that you will cut them into the strips and they maybe are not as long as you would wish them to be. Just put them together, stitch them in one long strip like you would do for binding, and you can reuse it. And you can see that because I used very narrow stitch length, that white or cream thread doesn't pull through. The second thing is, when you're adding your black strip to the block here, I kind of purposely moved that strip about half an inch up, or more or less half an inch up. So that means that when I'm adding that second smaller bit, I know I need to start from the edge of that strip. So kind of makes sense to do it straight away at that point. Okay, I will carry on with my other blocks, and then I will iron them, and I will show you the next step. Okay, so that's the first strip done. And I've laid down few layers of those blocks now, one on another, with that my feature color at one corner. Again, I don't want to cut through it, and I will do the same thing, more or less straight on cut, and add the strip again on this side, and again lifting this side a little bit more up, so they are not going to be evenly sewn here. So I will sew it together, and when I'm going to be ironing those squares after I've done it, I will starch them. Starch also helps with the seams here, so they don't open when you're handling the blocks, and also it's easier to square things up because the fabric is not so flimsy. So especially for the beginners, it's a good tip. Use a starch when you're ironing your blocks before you putting them together or you squaring them up. Okay, so I've ironed my blocks. It's all nice and sturdy because I've put a starch on it, and I'm taking my ruler, which is 10.5, and what I would like to do is that I want to have a square shape here, or almost square shape here, and then I will lift it a little bit up, so I've got also a little bit of that corner here. Because I've got quite a lot of space here, I can kind of play around a little bit with the layout. Now I did square up a few of my squares already, and I've got all of those scraps here. I will put them on the adding tape. If you don't know that technique, I will link it in the description below. And because I've got another 4-patch planned to make a tutorial on, I will use it there. Here we go. I will carry on with all the remaining blocks, and I'll pop them on the design wall so you can see how it comes together. And here you can see my finished blocks. I quite like how they turn up, because the layout I was going for the lap quilt was 5 by 6 blocks, and obviously 6 down you can put nice trifold kind of the window pattern we were going for, but in the middle instead I've put kind of half a window. So those 6 blocks I have done another cut and another strip, so as you can see they kind of fill in that gap quite nicely, kind of bring it all together. When I will be sewing it together, I'm not going at all for matching those black stripes in between. You know, it is the wonky version of the block, so very easy to put together because you don't have to worry about anything. The only junctions you want to fit in and nest are obviously just the blocks themselves, so that should be fairly quickly to put together. And again, on this quilt I will use my scrappy backing as well, made from the 10-inch squares like in the previous quilt. And that will be another finished project for the Southampton City Angels. I really like how it looks. Kind of that black brings up that kind of extra detail to it, and hopefully somebody will enjoy it when using it. Thank you for joining me today for this tutorial. I hope you find that another version of the 4-patch easy to follow and give you some ideas how to put together quilt like that. Obviously, instead of the black you can use any other color you like. The key tip here was to make sure you starch your blocks before you trim them, because that's make it easier to work with them later. I will still use up all of the scraps I have had from the squaring those ones in the next 4-patch tutorial I'm preparing. I did say I will put them on the adding tape, but having a look at those scraps in more detail, it might be easier actually to sew some of the strips together and then use the rest on the adding tape. I will see how it works. Check the description below for the links to all the other tutorials and references mentioned in this video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.